Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, Executive Editor at ClassicsToday.com. Now, like many of you, I'm extremely curious about the state of the classical music biz, the industry, and particularly review magazines, because I run one, ClassicsToday.com. I founded it. I've written for them for most of my life. And I'm extremely interested in how well they're doing. Now, the major classical music review magazine, as everyone knows, is Gramophone. It's been around the longest. It billed itself for many years as the largest, although I think BBC Music Magazine is bigger because it has the weight of the BBC behind it. But let's talk about really independent magazines, ones that do not have enormous public subsidy undergirding their strength, because I suspect that BBC Music Magazine probably could lose a fortune and it would still be out there. So, we're talking about magazines that actually operate on some sort of, fiscally reasonable basis. I could be totally wrong about the BBC Music Magazine. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't really care at this point. What I'm interested in is what's going on with the biggie, with Gramophone. And it turns out that Gramophone's media pack, or media kit, as we call it here in the U.S., is online. Anybody can go read it. You can download it. I downloaded it. And so I'm going to share it with you. Let's talk about what their statistics were. And this is as of December for the year 2020. If anything, it has probably decreased a little since then because of a variety of things, possibly COVID, also because numbers have been decreasing over the years. That I know for sure. And advertising revenues have been going down. I mean, the industry is in a problematic place. There isn't any question about that. But these numbers quite startled me, and let me share them with you because there they are. There's a big page called Our Readers, and we get to decide who the average Gramophone reader is. Well, first of all, the average Gramophone reader, not counting people from the planet Baxia, they're separate. Let's be clear. The magazine has, you ready? A circulation. That's the total number of copies out there in a month. That's subscriptions plus newsstand sales is basically your circulation. 17,558 copies per month. That shocked me, I have to say, because I had always been told that it was well in excess of 30,000, 35,000. At its peak, it was somewhere around that because we heard it from record labels who were advertising with ClassicsToday.com, and we were always making comparisons and things. Because at the time, it was very difficult for a .com to get started because a .com was in competition. We were in competition with a brick and mortar hard copy organ. And the record labels were very conservative, and they didn't want to advertise with something that was online, that was intangible, that they didn't, who had the last laugh on that topic, right? But anyway, so 17,558. The readership, they claim, is 30,000. Now, as you can tell by the even number of zeros, that is a wholly speculative number. There is really no way to tell what your actual readership is because the magazine's sitting there after the subscriber gets it or the person buys it at the newsstand, and you have no idea how many people may pick it up or look at it. That's a guess. It will always be a guess. It's just a guess. Then monthly subscribers, 15,288. A somewhat respectable number, I would think, in the classical music industry. But you realize how tiny that is? Just how, and not because it's Gramophone. I mean, just Gramophone is probably the best, the biggest. It's so small. I mean, it's really, really small. And it's very, very difficult to try and quantify, how many classical music listeners there really are out there. I mean, Gramophone does cost a pretty penny if you buy it for an entire year. That's probably part of the issue there. But 15,000 is that the English-speaking market for classical music? Oh, God help us if it's true. Anyway, but that's the number, 15,288 for the year 2020, from January to December 2020. Digital subscribers, the number of digital subscribers by the end of 2020, 5,658. That's digital subscribers, not necessarily people who just sign on to the website and look at the website. That's a different thing, right? These are people who pay to get the same thing that they get in the magazine. But of course, Gramophone offers you a deal so that if you get the magazine, the hard copy, you also get a digital subscription, where there's a way to do both simultaneously so that you can do one or you can do the other or you can do the combo, and they're not actually telling us how that breaks down or what difference that makes, so we don't really know. Okay, website, newsletter, and social media. Monthly page views, 640,000. That is an exceptionally small number by internet standards. It really is. A view is it doesn't mean anything. And monthly users, 220,000. Somebody who gets on and clicks on a page or looks at like one thing. Then we have weekly e-newsletter recipients, 60,000. And Facebook has 65,000 plus. In other words, they don't really know. And Twitter has 63,000 plus. In other words, they don't really know. Then we get the fun part. You ready? This is the readership profile. So the readership is 95% male, 2% female, and 3% other. I'm just kidding. It's 95% male. So that's really exciting. The average age is 62. That's 2 years older than me. Whoa! I mean, I love old people. I did a whole editorial called To Hell with Young People. But the average age is 62? My goodness. I'm sure that COVID knocked that down a little bit. Oh my God. Average personal income is £70,000 per annum, which is in dollars. I guess it's around $90,000 to $100,000. Let's see, 15% of readers have incomes of greater than 100,000, and 5% have incomes of greater than 200,000. Yes. Then why are they always fetching and bitching about the price of a CD? I have to wonder, if all these people have all this disposable income, why are they always whinging and complaining about how expensive this stuff is? That baffles me, and I'm sure it baffles them just as much. So, loyalty and engagement. Average length of readership is 22 years. That's very, very impressive. If the average length of readership is 22 years. That could also be the average length of time it takes to read one issue of the magazine is 22 years. Or to figure out what it's saying. That could be another thing. The average reader spends 3 hours, there we go, reading each edition of Gramophone. 3 hours. Okay, 3 irreplaceable hours of your life. Oh, well, it's their choice, right? Purchasing and listening habits. 98% of Gramophone readers have purchased a product as a direct result of a Gramophone review. Note, purchased a product. That could be anything. It could be a dish towel. It could be roach pesticide. It could be a household appliance. It could be a new fan belt for your car. Who knows? Of course, we don't see many advertisements for it, but you don't know. For example, you could read Gramophone and it could give you such heartburn that you'd go out and buy some antacid tablets. So you've purchased a product as a direct result of a Gramophone review. That's a possibility. Let's see, 77% of readers have purchased a product as a direct result of an advertisement in Gramophone. Okay. So there you go. You know, it seems to me that the wrong people are advertising in Gramophone, because if the median age of a Gramophone reader is 62 plus, the ads that should be in Gramophone are things for like, it should be like the AARP magazine. The American Association of Retired Persons. You get deals for like teeth and life insurance and funeral expenses. That's a really good one. And of course, elderly incontinence problems, male, or adult diapers and, sensible shoes and and that, yes, that kind of stuff. I don't see much of that in the pages of Gramophone, but maybe that's what's getting advertised there now. I really don't know. The average reader purchases 7 recordings per month: CD, DVD, SACD, and digital album. Well, that's interesting because that doesn't tell you how much they're spending. It says what they're getting. And some of that stuff is, of course, cheapity, cheapity, cheap. And then we have the average reader has 2,455 recordings in their collection. You kind of have to wonder how that number came up. You really do, because what did they do? Like go to everybody's house and count? I'm sure they had a questionnaire and they said, how many CDs do you have? And someone said, oh, 2,455? Nah, it doesn't seem right to me. Besides, we all lie, don't we? Or most people will a little bit. They want you to think you've got a billion of them, whether or not you have like 2 or more. It's hard to believe. Okay, 40% of readers pay to use a music streaming service. 46%, pardon me. 45%, let me see here, of readers would pay for a streaming service devoted purely to classical. Okay, we don't know if they did, but they would. 32% of readers state they have, in the past year, purchased an album having streamed it first. See, these are very interesting statistics, actually. I think they are, because it really tells you something about how music is consumed these days. And I think that that's, useful information to know. So, live music and concert streaming. This is interesting, of course, because Gramophone, I'm sure, seeks to get advertising from music festivals and from other, streaming and live music fora, or forums, or whatever you want to call them. The average Gramophone reader attends 11 concerts or operas per year. 25% of Gramophone readers attend more than 20 concerts per year. 40% of Gramophone readers travel abroad at least once per year to attend a classical music event. I always thought that was very impressive, but then I remembered that we're talking about Europe, where you can travel abroad to attend a concert and be back the same afternoon that you leave. This is not quite what happens here in the good old US of A. It's a little different. The distances are quite different. 65% of readers are interested in a holiday oriented around classical music. When I go away, I don't want to hear any classical music. I guess I'm not one of the 65%. I want to just relax, watch television, Over half of readers state that they regularly stream online video of classical music or opera performances, and 48% of readers would be more likely to attend a performance at a venue having streamed a concert from there first. Again, this is something which is designed to attract advertisers. It doesn't really concern normal people. It's for insiders in the business. Then we have audio equipment. Well, this is interesting. The average replacement value of audio equipment is £4,100. £4,100. That's a lot of money to spend on audio equipment. Of course, I did at one point. I have probably that much audio equipment, but that was over years. So very, very interesting how they determine replacement value, because, of course, as soon as you buy it, it depreciates. And so, what the replacement value is of old audio equipment. Because believe me, people who've been reading Gramophone for 22 years and are over 62 have not spent a lot of money on audio equipment recently, which I think is probably a more useful statistic. It would be to say, how frequently have they purchased things, or when are they going to be in the market to purchase things? And it's not that many people anyway. So, it's for audio dealers and things like that, that may be a very limited value. I think maybe audiophile magazines and the like are better forums to advertise for that bit of the market. 71% of readers prefer to buy from a specialist dealer. Okay. Collectively, our readers intend to spend £9.4 million on audio equipment in the next 12 months. And if you believe that, I have some stock in the Penn Central Railroad that I think you might be interested in purchasing. It's extremely valuable, trust me. All right, this is the one that really gets me. I love this section. Instrument ownership. Notice how they're trying to cover the entire classical music industry. This is for advertisers. It's a media pack. I'm not making fun of them for that reason. Believe me, I'm not. Because there are people who are in this business and they may advertise in Gramophone, so they have to try and get that advertising. But this one really kind of got me. I love this one. 46% of Gramophone readers play an instrument. I mean, that includes like the kazoo and, the little toy xylophone that they got when they were kids. And, but they play an instrument. They play an instrument like I play an instrument. There, I just played an instrument. Of which 53% play piano. Well, I did that too. 43% of those who play an instrument consider themselves to be of an advanced or professional standard. Consider themselves. I think it's very dangerous for a magazine that claims to be about criticism to take their word for it. But, again, that's for the dealers. That's for the advertisers. 62% of readers own a musical instrument with an average 2.6 per household. So that means I would have, like, say, a sarrusophone, a pipe organ, and 0.6 of an Onde Martineau sitting in my bedroom closet. How do you have 2.6 per household? 2.6 cellos? 2.6 violins? I mean, what? It's weird. The total average value of instruments owned is £9,500. Well, first of all, I'm sure they're including the piano, number one. Number two, I really wonder how they value that stuff, because in order to value it, whoever owns the instruments would have had to have them appraised and then communicate that appraised value to the survey at Gramophone, which they used, or the company they used to gather this information from subscribers to figure out what that number is. So I look at that number with a little bit of skepticism. Just put it that way. But that basically is the Gramophone readership, the Gramophone audience. Then there's a whole thing about the magazine, which describes how fabulous it is, and its online component, and enormous, this always gets me, enormous amount of coverage of the Gramophone Awards, which has a lovely photo of people at a dining hall sitting around at tables, sipping wine and eating their rubber chicken, which in the UK is even more rubbery than it is in other places. And then let us help. We can solve your challenges. This is fascinating. Gramophone is recognized throughout the classical music world for its editorial excellence and expert authority, all conveyed through compelling design. From print-based creative in the magazine to digital execution, our creative solution team can meet any brief, from clients looking for extended standout in the classical music market. That's interesting. So they're doing like consulting work, advertising consulting work to the classical music market. Then we've got the prices. Display full color advertising rates. Are you ready? A double page spread costs £7,329. A full page is £3,806. Half a page is £1,987. A quarter page is £1,191. The outside back cover is £4,681. And the inside back cover or front is £4,377. Whoa! Serious bucks there. This is, remember, at the end of 2020. So, I mean, what it is now, we don't know, but you can assume it's probably in the same neighborhood. So there you go. I mean, wow, baby, huge amounts of money involved there. And, more power to them if they can get it. I wanted to share that information with you because I just think it's very, very interesting to see what the industry leader in the magazine world is doing right now. And again, I am truly shocked by the small number of people involved. readers and circulation. That to me is really kind of, I don't know if it's depressing or not, but it's a surprise. It's a big surprise. You always thought, because, I mean, I'm only speaking now personally, Gramophone has so much attitude. They're so freaking arrogant. And it seems to me that the arrogance is not supported by the actual numbers. But, they're loyal people. They're all over 62, and they've all been there for 22 years. So I guess they're extremely attached. But boy, talk about being a big fish in a small pond. If this isn't the definition of that phenomenon, I don't know what it is. No, what is? Frankly, I have no idea. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little summary of the musical business end of things in the world of classical music magazines, which is ever shrinking. It really is. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.